Hi guys, thank you so much for joining me. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ore. I am a founder, a content creator, and a pharmacist. I am based in Canada. I love creating content for you guys, and it's so exciting to be in the month of February, one of my favorite months ever. This portion or section of my YouTube channel is called the Transatlantic Pharmacist Podcast, where I share various journeys, stories from diverse individuals, whether that's pharmacy, career, wellness, whatever it may be. So there's always something here for you. There's always a new thing here for you as a guest. Today I have a phenomenal guest with me, and I'm super excited to introduce you to her. As part of my Lead in Black series, I have a fantastic individual here joining me today to share their story, and we have so much to learn from this individual. So please make sure you grab your coffee, grab your tea, and stay tuned. Dr. Zainab Abdurrahman is the president of the Ontario Medical Association and a practicing allergist and clinical immunologist in the Greater Toronto Area. She serves as an assistant clinical professor of the School of Medicine at the Toronto Metropolitan University and an adjunct assistant clinical professor in pediatrics at McMaster University. Dr. Abdurrahman earned her Doctorate of Medicine from the University of Toronto. She completed her pediatrics residency and subspecialty training in allergy and clinical immunology at McMaster University. She also holds a master's degree in statistics with a specialization in biostatistics. She is deeply committed to advancing health and has been a key contributor to the Black Scientists Task Force on COVID-19 vaccination, equity, and the Black Health and Vaccine Initiative in partnership with the Black Physicians Association of Ontario. Beyond equity work, Dr. Abdurrahman is passionate about the intersection of technology and medicine. She is dedicated to leveraging innovation to enhance patient care and is a strong advocate for advancing the medical profession through inclusive leadership and systemic change. I am so pumped to have her with me as a guest today, and I know that you guys will learn so much from this conversation. So make sure you stay tuned for this fantastic conversation. Dr. Abdurrahman, thank you so much for joining me. I am super excited to have you here. I appreciate you taking the time to be here. So first of all, I always get all my guests to just share just something funny about themselves or something different that maybe people won't know, like a favorite food or favorite place that you like to visit. Are you able to share that with us?
Sure. Firstly, thanks for having me. I think that one of the things that people may not necessarily always find out about me, because most people focus on the fact that I'm in medicine and think about me more biology side. But what I often tell people is I'm a big math nerd, and I have a master's in math, which is pretty cool. So I went
Wow.
to Waterloo, so it's a faculty of math. So I actually have an M Math, which I'm really proud
Wow.
of.
That's amazing. That's so cool. And I think I'm originally from the UK, and in the UK, most times, they kind of expect people who go into science fields to do math. So it's interesting to know that you actually enjoy it and you've done a master's. Did you do that after your medical degree or
Actually
during?
before. So I first did my
Okay.
undergrad, which was kind of half math, half science. I did physiology and math as a combined degree. And then I did the master's in math. Then I went to medical school.
Amazing. Wow. So you are a woman of many talents, because I also know that you've done statistics, and like I'm
Yes.
sure that's comes very handy. So thank you so much for sharing that. It's Black History Month, and I am a huge advocate for Black History Month, especially in Canada. I have kind of a story going back to when I first moved here from the UK, and how much, or I would say the lack spotlight on Black professionals I saw a gap in. And I just love highlighting the importance of celebrating our Black people, but also allowing people to see other Black professionals who are doing well. So you are the first Black woman to serve as president in OMA's 140-year history. I guess that has some form of massive impact and influence in your career. Are you able to reflect on your formal installation? What were some of the thoughts regarding the historical weight of your appointment, and the significance of this representation for the profession?
Absolutely. When I think back, when I was heading towards the installation, I thought about different ways that I wanted to ensure that it reflected who I was as a person, knowing that I do
Mm,
have kind of a weight in terms of the representation, also to
mm,
reflect, culture, because that plays
mm,
a big role in how I got here, in terms of my parents, my family, the support, that type of community that really pushes you forward. And, my being here is a result of, so many more people. It is not just one person. And, that was
mm,
very important to me. I was very lucky that my parents could be there. My dad is
mm.
now a retired physician, so he's a member of the OMA, and my mom was there.
Amazing.
And so it was really beautiful to have them there as well.
Mm,
And, even afterwards, be able to send some of that, like my installation speech, to my family, to my cousins. And, it just made me
mm,
think of, all the times in my office when I
mm.
see, young Black girls, how their moms say, look at the doctor, and they're just, they're so excited. They say, oh my gosh, she looks like me. And their moms
Yeah,
or their dads, whoever's with them, saying, yes, she looks like you.
yeah,
This could be you. And how important it is, And, I talked about when I was, in my university times when my parents would say, please talk to someone's daughter or someone's niece
mm,
who wants to, go to university or go into science. And, at those times when you're in those kind of younger, slightly more awkward phase where you're like, I don't know what to tell them. I don't know. I just started, university, or I'm just still on my journey. And my
yeah.
mom would say, there's some people who don't even know this journey is open to them.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
they just want to talk to somebody who looks like them, who is
Mm,
there, so then they can see themselves there. And I think as I moved through my education and then in working and all these different leadership positions, I understand that so much more.
yeah.
As you go through, initially, as when you're in your 20s, you don't get it as much as you do now, but how important it
Yes.
is. I had so many role models within my family, and not everybody has that,
Yes.
and how important
Absolutely.
it is to be part of the community for others who may not have that built in. And
Yeah.
so those were all the things I was really thinking about as I stood on that stage. And I said to
Mm,
myself, I'm going to take up space unapologetically in this moment, because
yes.
it's not just about me. It is
Yes.
about everyone who will come after me. It's about everyone who has
Yeah.
paved the way for me. And
Yeah.
we need to just take up space in the end.
Yeah. I love that. I love that you are able to include or discuss how, family also impacted that, because that's one of the things I wanted to actually talk about. So your father was a pediatrician
Yes.
and a professor as well.
Yes.
And I think that, for some of us who have the opportunity to have family members and role models within our homes that kind of like pave the way for us, it's somewhat, I don't want to say easier, but we are advantaged in some way, right? Because as you mentioned, some people don't have, that blueprint, and they don't have the opportunity to see what leadership looks like from a young age. So I
Yeah.
guess I would say, like, what are some of the things that kind of encourage you to continue? Because you mentioned like taking up space and thinking about the other people who don't have those opportunities. What would you say to a Black professional who maybe someone who's actually aspiring to be in your position or something similar, and they don't have those opportunities in their home or within their network? What are some of the things you would encourage them to do in order to be able to continue to build that inspiration so that they can walk those paths that they desire to?
Yeah, I would say, reach out in terms of, you may not have it in your immediate vicinity in terms of your family, but, look around. If you're meeting someone, ask them about the professions, ask them. And what's really nice now is we do have quite a lot of Black people in a lot of different professions. So, we
Yes.
have the Black Physicians Association of Ontario.
Yeah.
We have, you have the Black pharmacists. Like, there are lots of these different professional organizations that
Mm-hmm.
understand the importance of representation, and
Mm-hmm.
to reach out to them. A lot of times it's great. There's like mentorship programs there, or just to even meet and talk to somebody in this. We all have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of different ideas as to what practice of any of these professions may actually be like versus,
Yes.
the truth of it. So I think it's important to just, find those moments and search. And I think what's nice now is there are so many of these organizations based on profession. So don't be afraid. And I think that you'll find that people are also happy to share. Like, we join these
Mm.
organizations because we understand how important it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and look for allies too, and they may not be black, they may not, but if they're interested in they say, I want to help you, do
Mm.
lean into that and
Mm-hmm.
um, take help is what I would say too. I think sometimes you kind of might want to shy away when people want to
Mm.
help you sometimes. But I think other groups have just like always leaned into, yes, I'll take help. Yes, and I think we
Yeah.
need we need to have those opportunities.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's, I think, just very important. And, ask yourself, what, what do you love to do? And what do you want to learn about? And don't
Mm.
feel that because you shadowed somebody, may shadowed a black lawyer and been like, wow, you do a lot more writing or more this that I didn't like, then try something else. You're allowed to change your mind.
Yes. Love
Find
that.
your path. Like, don't
Yeah.
feel, if you don't do something, that's okay,
Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
but
I
just
love that. I
find,
love that.
yeah, find what really motivates you.
Yeah, that's an amazing key takeaway. I think just we're always becoming and we're consistently discovering ourselves. So I like that
Hmm.
you said that. Important takeaway. So, this series that I'm doing is called Leading Black, and you mentioned so many important things. And one of the things that you highlighted was the importance of bringing other people to the table. I think that's so important. Instead of almost taking on all this work by yourself as an individual on the table, but actually opening avenues for other people to also be represented. So I think it's so vital for us to bring others into the room and being able to share that information with the general public and knowing that, actually there's so and so person who you can see. I can refer you to this person or I can bring this person into this room is so key and so vital. And I love that you highlighted that because I don't know that we do that enough as black professionals. So kind of focusing in on this month, Black History Month. I think it's such a historical month for us. And there is a scarcity of Black leaders in high-level Canadian decision-making roles, as we just spoke about. When you think about that phrase, leading Black, what does that how do you believe that contributions of Black professionals should be recognized throughout the year? So, we've talked about we're seeing more and more Black professionals on those decision making tables. We're seeing more Black professionals leading in spaces. So, how can we recognize those individuals, not just in February, this throughout the year? How can we continue to highlight the work that these individuals are doing and honoring?
Absolutely. I think that there is so much opportunity and it goes beyond Black History Month. It is all year round. And I
Yes.
think it's that commitment to doing so. There are some campaigns that, show here is a day in the life where there are no technologies, where Black people, if you took out these Black inventions,
Mm.
and it can be such simple things as, so just kind of emphasizing these things that you don't even think about anymore. I think that
Yeah.
we sometimes have to also focus on some of the work that's been done, that now you have
Mm-hmm.
it structurally in place and you've forgotten where it came from.
Mm.
I think back to even some of the work we did in the last few months where we really talked about race-based data and how
Mm.
important that
Yes.
was. A lot of
Yes.
times we would say, anecdotally, like when COVID was happening, we're saying, it's affecting Black population. And people would say, well, where's the data? And we said, well, you're not collecting the data.
Yeah.
Here is how, by not addressing this and that there's disparities by color of skin, you're
Mm.
also not able to adjust. Thankfully, at that time, we were able to show some of the data. We were able to cross-reference in a lot of different ways to show the importance of focusing
Mm-hmm.
on race-based data. And, that went across multiple races, similar for the Southeast Asians who were also seeing quite an increase.
Yeah.
And there's that moment where we all kind of said, listen, you're not correcting it, but
Yeah.
we are seeing the collective effect of it.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so I think it's important to kind of say, when we talk about heritage moments, I want that to be one of the heritage moments where it's like, you know what, we were in a dire time. We realized we were not seeing people, and this caused us to miss seeing the trauma that was affecting their populations.
Yeah.
And I think it's these kinds of moments to remind us of where we've come from and what we have learned,
Yes.
going back to different people who played such a big role. Like I
Yeah.
remember telling people, I was so excited. I said, our $5 bill our bill in Canada is going to have a Black woman on it. I was so excited. And, it was and so many people were, when I talked to cousins in other countries, and they said, wow, they were like, hasn't there been? And I said, no, there's never been this. This is going to be in everyone's back pocket. Like it's going to be
Yes.
there, and it's important to continue to celebrate the people who have made this nation, because you know what? We're all here, and it's a huge mix of people,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we are all really settlers. We are immigrants. We have come
Yeah.
here. And I think
Yes.
that, it's important to also recognize that it's a big mix of people, and to call out the different times where we've really taken that opportunity to lead, and to
Yes.
point there. It's times often when people sometimes want to fall back, but we're
Yeah.
often, moving to the forefront, because we realize if we don't speak up for, smaller groups, that sometimes, like you said, are they considering you? It's that. And I tell people too all the time, I say, you might think of it as something that we're doing just, leading Black. Is it just about the Black population? But it's not. Every time that we are leading and talking about this, this really speaks to anyone who has ever been othered. If you have not been in what's kind of considered that status quo, you see familiarity, you know that I can see you as well. And this is where it's important for us to form coalitions, and I have lots of any kind of racialized women saying, I see you there. And that is important for me, no matter what race they are, but they're like just being a racialized woman. And so we have to also recognize that portion. And that's what I really think about when I think about like leading Black, is about bringing these lenses and speaking up. And, others who are also othered by whatever means and whatever intersectionality it is, that they also will feel that. There's this kinship we all feel, because we know what it's like to not have been considered, or to have been forgotten. And so that's something that we don't want anymore. And I think that's why it's so important to celebrate the diversity all year round. There's there's Black History Month, but we are Black every single day. There's no day.
Exactly. Exactly. I love that.